Welcome to Layers of the Atmosphere. Okay, so that's a little bit silly, but we're heading into the atmosphere, and the atmosphere is divided into layers. As you can see in the diagram here, we've got the troposphere, which is closest to the Earth. We have got the stratosphere, which comes next, followed by the mesosphere and the thermosphere. So how do we know where these layers begin and end? Are they different colors? What's going on? Well, the issue is with temperature. As most of you know, as you go up into the atmosphere, like as you drive up into the mountains, it gets colder. Okay? Well, that only happens for part of the atmosphere. As we can see in this next slide, the red line here indicates what the temperature is. We can see it starts out here at about 20 degrees Celsius, and it gets colder and colder as we go up, just like we're used to experiencing. Okay? And then, at some point here, at about 10 kilometers, that changes. And if we keep going up from there, we can see that it begins to get warmer again. And then it changes again. Now we call that change, the change in the change, the end of the stratosphere. And so then it begins getting colder again. And that layer where it's getting colder is the mesosphere. And then it changes how it changes again. And we begin to increase in temperature in what's called the thermosphere. Okay? Now, why is that happening? Well, the sun's energy is absorbed in 3 different places. And those are our 3 hot spots. The Earth's surface absorbs about half of the energy from the sun. And that's where we see down here at the surface, we have a hot spot. And so the air next to that hot spot is warm. Then as we move away from that hot spot, it cools down. But then we start getting closer to another hot spot. This hot spot up here in this layer is called the ozone layer. Okay, and that's absorbing ultraviolet radiation from the sun. That ultraviolet radiation turns into heat. And so we've got a hot spot here. Then we move away from that hot spot as we head this direction. And then we start getting to another hot spot where 2 things are happening. One is some of the ions from the solar wind are hitting the atmosphere. And the other is the very short wavelength ultraviolet gets absorbed by nitrogen and oxygen, actually breaking those bonds and causing ions. And so we get another hot spot up there with high energy molecules moving around. Okay. So we can see our 3 hot spots over here in the thermosphere, in the ozone layer, and at the surface. And in between those hot spots, it gets colder at these 2 points. And that's the layers of the atmosphere.